So hello fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728, and I wanted to talk about whether or not help actually breeds helplessness. As I normally do, I'm Earthling 64 yada yada yada, and I am using this moniker because I don't want to use my real name. I have an MBA, computer science degree. I've been in the military. I have seen a number of places in the world, very interesting places. Eiffel Tower, Caracas, Venezuela, Seoul, South Korea. I have gained and lost 85 pounds. I've kept it off for about 5 years. I've quit smoking. I have done repairs of washing machine, CV joints on cars, stuff like that. It's interesting. That's me. Anyway, I have not had a lot of help in life. Oh, the rain is coming. Anyway, I feel like I haven't had a lot of help, a lot of support, a lot of people who were there to lend a helping hand. But in spite of that, as I would have mentioned, I feel that I was able to accomplish quite a lot. So for example, in order to go to university, my mom did help me to get there, but it was really off of a 4-year tuition scholarship that I was able to afford to go there. And even, my mom paid for me to be in the dorms, and after about a semester, that money was done. So the rest of the time that I was at university, my room and board came from me working. I was able to get a car, but many times I didn't have enough money to afford to pay a mechanic. The hourly rate that I was being paid, it would take 9 hours of work, maybe over the course of 2 days or something, in order to pay for a mechanic. And if it took me 5 hours by, my own efforts to figure something out, obviously I was saving a bunch of money. And then I would also have the tools to do that thing. When it came to school, I think that I went to extra lessons on one occasion in high school for mathematics. And really what I discovered from that was that I was making a lot of stupid mistakes. That was really the main thing. And I needed to stop doing that. And I think after the third class, I just stopped, and that was it. And I still got a scholarship, even though, so on one occasion, I had a really, really, really horribly bad cough. And I went to the doctor. I told my mother it wasn't going to make any difference. And the doctor asked me a bunch of questions. And at the end of it, she was like, well, there's nothing I can do for you. And I was like, even though I knew that's what she was going to say, I just couldn't believe it that I was going to have to go back to suffering that amount of pain and lack of sleep because there was nothing that she could do for me. So I went and Googled, the questions that she asked me. I realized that I might have walk-in pneumonia and that I probably needed, well, I didn't need to. I just went to another doctor, told him yes to the questions he asked me. He gave me antibiotics. And after 3 days, which I just looked up the other day, my cough was gone. I was fine. There are so many instances. I don't have any older siblings. And whereas my sister has the benefit of me, I don't have the benefit of anybody else. I learned very early on that even though my mother was a teacher, that if I asked her, hey mom, what does this word mean? It was a waste of my time listening to her, ask me what the context, and just a whole flurry of questions rather than an explanation. And I realized I'm on my own here. When it even came to moving, I never really had that much stuff in college, for example. when I had to move from place to place. But I just thought of how undependable other people were, and I never really asked anybody for help. I just moved on my own. If there was stuff that was too big to move, maybe I'd just get rid of it and try to get a newer version at some other place. But then, I look around at, like, my sister, for example. My sister, I feel, was a lot closer to my mother and kind of had that support to fall on, and she had me to fall back on as well. And I would tell my sister, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you travel more on your own? Or because I can't travel with her. And she just won't. She's like many other girls who always needs a girlfriend, or she can't make any plans. Whether it's to go to the movie, whether it's movies, whether it's to go on a trip, whether it's to whatever, she feels like she has to have somebody there. And that's understandable from a female point of view. But then I have an uncle who is telling me it's a good story. It's a story about how he decided to stick with his family rather than, stay in his hometown, and how it ended up he is there for his kids. But when I hear him, his being there feels like he's making them weak, because I think I went through some times where it would have been really nice to have somebody to say, hey, these times are not really that bad, like, as a teenager or whatever. But there's a cost. There's a cost of having that support, because that support is also a limiter. It's a tie that binds. And the closer you are to somebody, and they give you support, it also means that when they don't believe in your dream, they can hold you back, because you never realize that, hey, you can do all these things on your own. So when you don't have support, you might feel, maybe I can't do this on my own. And, whether it was, I don't know, what's the best example? Having to do car repair because I didn't have money for a mechanic, so I just got the book for the car. Or it came down to, help with doing computer science programming courses, and I went to the teacher for help. I realized that sometimes the amount of effort it took to answer the questions that the teacher might pose to me about the particular thing that I wanted to do, it just wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth it, because 9 times out of 10 they would be telling me about 25 other ways that I could have done this problem, instead of helping me with the problem that I have. I have like 10% further to go, and you basically suggesting that I start over and do all these different other ways that I could have done it. So I don't know. I felt like I have not had a friend to lean on. I felt like I have not had an older sibling or a parent to lean on very much, because my mom did help me to get to university. She paid for like the first semester. Of course there were like 7 or 8 more, so I had to figure out how to do that. And then for my graduate degree, I had to get an assistantship, which paid for the tuition and a little bit for my room and board. But through all of these things, what I've learned is that I can accomplish almost anything on my own. And beyond that, it's that just because somebody is a doctor, just because somebody is a lawyer, just because somebody is a policeman or anybody in any professional capacity whatsoever, it doesn't mean you just give them your 100% trust. People have flaws that extend beyond their status or their job title, and you should always second guess that doctor. Because in that instance where I was saying that, I had walking pneumonia, I told the doctor truthfully the answer to all those questions. But one of the questions, which was, do you smell something when you cough? I didn't smell anything when I coughed for the last week or something. But then I thought about it when I went home, and I did. At one point, I did have a funny smell, which I thought was weird because I never had that before. And that was what led me to believe that I could have walking pneumonia. Now, it wasn't my fault because I was answering truthfully. It wasn't her fault. I mean, what else could she do? It's just ask the direct questions. But relying on my own self to, why is it that she was asking me those questions? What is it that she wanted to find out? I did go for a chest x-ray afterwards. They didn't find anything. But as soon as I took the antibiotics, after suffering for like about 3 weeks, boom, it was gone after 3 days, which is about the amount of time that they suggest that it takes for antibiotics to work. Or, for example, when I went to the dentist, and then I suddenly noticed I had a shooting pain in my jaw. And then when I started flossing, I realized that there was more and more blood that was coming out from between the teeth, and that the way that the dentist had shaped the filling was causing food to collect in that space and made an infection happen in my teeth. And I went to the dentist and I had to describe it to him. Hey, this is what's happening. This is what you're going to have to do to fix it. And I knew going in what happened. Some of you might say, well, you don't floss. I've never, ever had a problem ever like that in my entire life. I've never had to floss because I've never had like cavities between my teeth. It just doesn't happen. Food doesn't stick there. So he actually caused that to happen by the way that he did my filling. But I mean, if I point to my sister again for a second, there are lots of things that I tell my sister, hey, you should do this. This would work out better. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that because that's too much work or whatever. And then sometimes I have to go do it. Like, if I think that she should send out more applications, at least for 2 different occasions, I have actually sent out the applications for her. I went and I looked and I made a list of things, of like hundreds of companies. She repeatedly told me, do not do it. Don't send it out. She was going to take the time to do it. And I'm like, no. I sent it out. She got job interviews. And then she got some of the highest paying jobs that she's ever had. Or I was telling her that, you should move yourself. Let's just move. Let us, you and I, pack up 1 box every single night because she's going to move across town. She didn't want to do it. I had to pack up the boxes myself to help her. And when I have a problem, if she can't help me, she's not going to help. If she can't help herself, she's definitely not going to help me. So, and I feel that she is the sibling that got the most support from my mother, and if not, maybe other family members as well, being a girl. But even with respect to cooking, I feel fairly confident cooking because I had to cook when I was in university. There was nobody who was going to cook for me. I couldn't afford to be eating fast food regularly. So now I feel like I can cook. I had to repair my own car. So now I feel that I have an understanding of what can go wrong in a car, and I can Google whatever is necessary. There are problems, like I said, that come up with my own body. Like I figured out that I could lose weight by being in the Army Reserves. I'm pushing myself further than I thought that I could push myself. Now I feel like I know what it's like to quit smoking. I can go through the rigors of that, and I can form new habits for myself. Like, that needs to be a new habit. That's something that I need to do. And all of the things that I'm most proud of have come because there was nobody to call. And I feel like I'm really, really much stronger because of that. And I can only think that everybody else who had help would feel as helpless as I did when I didn't know exactly how to cook, when I didn't really know what I needed to do in order to attract a girl or to get her attention or just to see if she was interested. Or, like I said, on so many different levels, there was nobody to call and see and say, how do I get a girl interested? How do I talk to girls? How do I drum up the courage to do this? All of these things I had to figure out on my own, and it was horrible, but now I can. Anyway, that's it for me. This is the second time I'm recording this thing, so I hope that this recording actually works this time. I was really disappointed to see that I had nothing last time. Anyway, like if you want, subscribe if you want, dislike, comment, share, any of those things that you would like somebody to do on one of your recordings or videos. Peace.